We wait on, I think, Amanda to join.
Yes.
Okay. So calling this hearing to order, we have an agenda in front of us. I'll hear a motion to approve, please.
I so moved.
Okay, we'll take that as a second as well. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have the minutes from May 1st, 2023. I will hear a motion to approve if no one has any changes to them.
I do have a question. Were you here last week?
No.
I didn't think so. He was listed as present.
Okay, we'll get that changed. Sorry.
With that change, I move to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. All right, staff report, is there one?
Just that, you guys are all aware of this, but our July meeting will be on Thursday, July 6th. And thank you all for responding to that date change. Just didn't think anybody would be in town on July 3rd when the 4th is Tuesday. So.
Okay. All right, public hearing, case number 430, COA requested by Tech One Studio, Chris Root, to remove existing drive-through window and night deposit box and replace with an interactive teller machine and a new night deposit box.
Hi. Okay, so case 430 concerns 1111 Jackson Avenue, which is the current square location of Renaissance Bank. The applicant, Chris Root, has requested a COA to remove the current plate glass teller drive-through window and an existing night deposit box. So this property was built in 1975, so it's listed as non-contributing in the Historic Resource Survey. So once removed, the applicant wants to install a smaller ITM and a new night deposit box. They will then frame out the new machines with hardy board and hardy trim, making sort of a millwork appearance that'll be painted white to match the rest of the trim on the building. The existing awning will remain in place, and all these changes are going to take place where the current drive-through is. It's in between Boo Ray and the bank, so it's sort of in that alley, which is minimally visible from the street. So the design guidelines don't address ATMs or bank drive-throughs, but the materials, the design, and the muted colors are appropriate for the district. So the staff recommends approval for the COA. And I think Chris Root is here if you have any questions.
Okay. Chris, do you feel like you need to speak to it, or you want us to just consider it?
Unless I need to.
Any questions or comments from the commission? All right, seems like a motion is imminent.
I move we approve COA 430.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. All right. Has Amanda joined yet?
No, and she's not posting me, so I'm sure she is working on it. Oh, someone in the meeting should let her in soon. Let's see. That would be. Doesn't look like she is here. Can you call her? She sent me, yeah, the screen was shared for the last case. She sent me that. But I'm not seeing her in the waiting room. Yes, do you want me to stop sharing? Sorry guys, 1 second. Yeah, I added her to the curriculum.
Okay, case number 431, COA requested by YAC. Wayne Andrews is here to represent it to build the new addition of Powerhouse.
Okay, so as you guys recall, we had quite a long complimentary review about the proposed new building addition to the Powerhouse at our last meeting. I'll take you guys through the plans again and then a little bit about what was changed after those comments at the last hearing. So the commission will consider and vote on the proposed new building only. The applicant is planning to return to the commission at a later date for that front hardscaping and park. They don't have that plan in place yet. So we're only considering the new building today. Just as a reminder, the Powerhouse located at 413 South 14th Street is listed as is listed as non-contributing in the Courthouse Square District. Though the building was built circa 1928, it's a one-story reinforced concrete and brick former power plant building with a side addition built circa 1933. As we always do with new additions, we should consider this addition using the Oxford Design Guidelines, and specifically the guidelines for new additions to historic structures. It's important that the new additions be compatible in size and scale, setback, materials, and design as the main structure. A new addition to a historic structure is considered successful if it preserves significant historic materials and features, preserves the historic character, and protects the historic significance by making a visual distinction between what's old and what's new. The proposed two-story building will connect the existing Powerhouse to the public parking lot directly to the north of the site, which we talked about that quite a bit at the last hearing. The plans include the addition of an 18,650 square foot two-story building to house the Humanities Center that will be lightly connected to the Powerhouse. Exterior finished materials include stucco, brick veneer, concrete, and wood or fiber cement border panels as accent pieces. The windows are going to be metal to sort of replicate what's there on the existing building. And you guys will recall that permission to remove that existing shed was granted in October of 2022. I'm sure no one is sad to see the shed go. At the complimentary review, the commission and the project architects, Dale Reiser and John Beard, discussed the plans and made with the commission. They made some changes to the plans based on that discussion, including removing the proposed wood siding at that front entry. So where you see the connection of the building, there was a lot of discussion about sort of the heaviness versus the lightness of using glass or the wood paneling there, and they went with fully glass there in this revised plan. And they also made some changes to the east elevation of the building. You see a little bit more fenestration there, whereas it was sort of blank in the previous iteration. So I thought those were direct results of the comments from the commission at that prior hearing. Staff does find that the proposed building meets the recommendations of the design guidelines, particularly that it's compatible in materials, design, and roof form without mimicking or recreating the architecture of the primary structure, the Powerhouse, too closely. It doesn't necessarily meet the recommendation that a new addition should be constructed at a scale smaller than the existing structure. However, the addition is clearly identifiable as new and complements the main structure while remaining very clearly differentiated. So staff is recommending approval of the COA. Unfortunately, the project architect, Dale Reiser, is sick. He's not able to be here, so, but Wayne is here to represent the project for YAC, and I'm happy to answer any questions about the staff report. And if you guys have questions for Wayne, I'm sure he'd be happy to come up here.
Okay, thank you. And I see Amanda has joined us as well.
Great.
All right, any questions, comments from the commission?
I was not here for last month's meeting, so I missed the complimentary review, but I did read the minutes and the concerns. It sounds to me like they were addressed. I'm thrilled for YAC with this possible new building. I think it looks fantastic, and I do get it when you say it is. Is it bigger than the Powerhouse itself, or just as big as the original Powerhouse?
It's a little taller.
Little taller. But it looks, as you said, like a new, but fitting addition. I think it meets the requirements.
And I will point out that that connection to the existing powerhouse is happening at an existing addition. Does that make sense? So like that if you're looking at the powerhouse on that right side, there's like, you wouldn't notice it if you don't look at it all the time, but there's like that little addition where their offices are. So that's where
Right.
that connection is gonna be made.
And the connection, I don't see a picture right now, well, it is the bottom middle
Bottom
right
right.
there. That is enclosing the existing main, the main door that we use right now, yeah. I
But
think
that
that's-
wasn't the original entrance to the building, if that makes sense. YAC uses that as the primary entrance, but from what Dale could find in the HABs drawings for the building that they had, the side entrance was the main entry into the powerhouse, where we have that ramp now. Does that make sense?
Where you have the what now?
The handicap ramp, so like,
Facing-
this wasn't the
facing
primary
doors.
entrance to the building originally.
Oh, right, yeah, the big purple doors,
Right.
yeah, sure.
On this stucco material, are we looking at something that's like a commercial application you see at the university, or is this gonna be something that you see more on a residential look, or anybody describe that's gonna be any different from what I think it's gonna be, which is just present day stucco? I'm gonna be in the minority, but I think the lines are still too hard. I think it's a wonderful addition to the act, and I want this to happen. I think there's certainly enough votes to approve this. I just think it looks too hard as a personal preference. It's either going to go or not go based upon the materials I think they're gonna be able to use. Because if it comes out, we roll out a bunch of commercial stucco, it's gonna look just like that. And I don't think it's gonna have quite the feel that the powerhouse does. But again, I'm in the minority. I don't like contemporary architecture, and I think it's too contemporary for this particular property. I want it to happen for Wayne, and it's probably gonna get approved. That's just my thoughts. And I'm wondering about the materials.
I would assume it hasn't been fully spec'd yet, because they're so early on in that process. So maybe would the concern be that it's stucco paneling and you'll see the seams, or I guess this would be the time to express what you'd like to see.
Well, I think so. I mean, you see a lot of seams on this west look, and to me that makes it look and it is commercial property, but it makes it an opposite to me of the existing powerhouse.
Would it look more powerhousey if it were concrete, and is concrete too heavy to use as a building material on the exterior?
I think they said their preference when they were here last time that it would be concrete, but the cost of concrete
it's too
is
expensive.
extraordinary right now. And so I think that's gonna make it that much more.
Is there something that can look like concrete but isn't concrete?
I refer to the architect on the commission on that one.
I'm asking this architect.
Yeah, they didn't specify the exact material yet. I would assume because they have to spec it out within what they're getting grant-wise.
The improvement on the light on the east is great. And I think the space, the way it's laid out is great. I'm just concerned that we're gonna have a very contemporary building beside a very old building. And the transition is gonna be very stark. But that's just my personal opinion. And I will not vote against it, I'm just.
Sure.
The question of the materials, I mean, materials are a pretty important thing it not being spec'd out at this point, right, would be a problem, but I think that it has. I think that Dale said that the plan right now is that it's stucco.
Right.
If I remember from the complimentary, and that's something we would need to know. I mean, is it stucco versus metal panel versus concrete panel? But I think that it's stucco as far as I remember from what Dale said. So I think that we would be voting on that being stucco. EFIS is a prohibited material, so we're talking about
Right.
traditional stucco.
Were you meaning though, like a particular type of
Yeah.
stucco?
I meant the actual system.
I got you.
Yeah.
So the material's gonna be stucco, but like
Yeah.
what does it look like to specifically respond and how would it relate to an existing building that's around town? I don't know that we know that.
But if let's say they spec out, it's too expensive, and they don't wanna do an actual stucco, and they wanna come back with something else, they could come back for a material discussion.
And you all would make that decision to say, hey,
Yeah.
you're doing something different here. You
Because
can-
we'll see the construction set and know if anything is amiss.
So what do you think it's gonna look like, the stucco now, as proposed?
From what Dale spoke about last month, I think they wanted to look like what is there, like the concrete as much as possible. Is that the impression you guys took?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's, the intention is that
Uh-huh.
they're trying to work with the concrete banding and cornice that they have now and recreate that out of
Right.
stucco.
So how's that consistent with the bands that you see up and down, at the top? How's that consistent with existing, powerhouse?
There's existing concrete banding along the top of the powerhouse and the pillars, the
With
vertical.
the metal banding, which is what you see in stucco?
Can you go back to
We actually try to get straight.
yeah.
It may not be metal banding, that's just what I see, that's what I'm saying.
There's not metal banding, no. There is, it is a metal window system,
Right,
but that is like what the powerhouse has metal windows.
right, I understand.
Yeah.
But you're saying these lines are just lines, they're not some type of metal system?
Oh, I see what you're asking.
Which
So,
one?
so those would be like control joints that you have in stucco.
Right.
Oh, I see.
And you do have to have those every so often. You're commenting about like,
Yes, right.
Sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Well, I didn't articulate it well, because I don't know what I'm talking about.
yeah. I'm speaking for the architect here, but you would have control joints that you have to have every so often in stucco. Those can be detailed in different ways. They can be made to go away a good bit, but not entirely. I think that if I'm channeling Dale, he would probably maybe
Yeah.
say.
Something that could be comparable, although I believe that Dale would probably hide the seams more, would be the new Funky's building has some stucco detailing. The addition. Although I believe that they used a hardened stucco board, so what Dale is expecting will probably look slightly better. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like more masonry smear on top of brick, funkies, but I mean, again, I understand about the joints. That's just my comments about the building. Again, I think it's a wonderful addition for Wayne. I think they need it. We have an opportunity to do something really wow right there, instead of something very commercial looking. That's a beautiful old building, powerhouse in its simplicity. And I really put anything up there that won't compliment it.
The exterior building materials are so important, and is this a project that we could approve without knowing what they are yet, and have that be a decision that we approve later?
I think we do know what they are. I'm just not the architect on the project. But Dale went through all of it at the last hearing. I mean, it's gonna be some form of stucco, metal window system, brick, veneer, right? At the
If you go to page
first floor. He has a
13 of the presentation, you'll
sorry, we
see.
didn't know he was gonna be here until this afternoon, so that's a little bit of the issue. We can't help that he got sick.
Which page?
Page 13 of the PDF.
Stucco, brick veneer, wood siding, steel replica windows.
And he has alternate ephes, but that's not gonna be allowed.
It wouldn't, no.
The wood siding, I think, has been removed entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say, I to disagree. I like the modern nature of it personally, and I am a fan of, something being built at its time, be of its time, and to be, I don't want to stark contrast, but to be in contrast. And I feel like, I did feel like they've done a good job of striking the balance between contemporary architecture that is of its time, but is respectful of the building that it's attaching to. So, yeah, I think that it doesn't bother me, but I think it's okay that it does bother some. I do like, I wanted to point out that though this is taller and more massive, where it touches the existing building, it's only one story. So we don't have a 2-story section slammed against the existing powerhouse. And so they've done a pretty good job of creating that hyphen-like connection onto the existing.
With the exception of the connector that goes to the parking lot in the back, but that's even recessed.
I don't think that's actually touching the powerhouse though. There's a slot of 1 story that's continuous, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So there's kind of a roof section between the two. If you look at the second floor plan, you can see it.
I don't know.
You were on the second floor.
I know it was, but then all of a sudden it zoomed in and went away. I was looking at, see, when I zoomed in, it just get.
That's a good view, actually, right there.
That's what I was trying to find.
Yeah.
It's just that, like, where it
Right.
gives that appearance. It's not really touching, but it kind of looks like it. And I think it's just enough to do exactly what you're saying.
It certainly doesn't loom over the powerhouse. It doesn't seem to be that much taller.
I had a question. Are you surprised this is a non-contributing building?
Yes.
And this was redone in 2020 and still was listed as non-contributing.
Just because of the addition.
I think it has to be because of the addition. And maybe perhaps the handicap ramp blocking the original entry. But considering it has the original windows and it's not really that altered, I'm surprised that it was categorized as non-contributing.
Yeah.
But, this happens we all tend to put a lot of emphasis on contributing and non-contributing, but there are certainly cases where a non-contributing building is also treated very strictly, if that makes sense. Like, people call all the time in the residential districts because they think, oh, this is non-contributing, we can definitely tear it down. And that's not how the commission has acted in general. A lot of times if the form of the building is pretty intact, they'll want it to be retained. So while it's interesting information and it's helpful information, it doesn't necessarily always dictate how the case is treated.
This is not the first time we've been surprised about something being labeled non-contributing. I'm thinking of the house that La Rousse is occupying, that Victorian.
Right.
It's got like an addition on the back, but it's still a Victorian house.
Yeah.
It is contributing.
And the consultants, this might be more information than we want for this hearing, but the consultants who perform that work, like the consultant that we hired was through Archives and History, and they're certified in that work and we all deal with the Secretary of the Interior standards a lot, but there's a whole other section from the Secretary of the Interior on building integrity and what can cause a historic building to lose its integrity, and we just don't delve into it that often because we have the classifications already. But presumably there was a reason that Judith would have marked it as not contributing. So, yeah. I certainly think it's still,
Eyes of the beholder.
yeah.
We could get some stickers that say "We care about non-contributing property."
We care. Just put we care.
We care.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I move we approve as drawn.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So I think we heard from Amanda and I. Lori, is that a yes?
Yes. It's a yes.
Okay. Passes unanimously.
Great.
Congratulations, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne. All right, any other discussion from the commission or staff? All right, I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. To adjourn.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.